A tech executive pulls a thick brick of cash from his pocket, tossing wads of bills with flushed arrogance. On the dock, he skips gold coins across the Pacific like common pebbles, laughing as they sink into the dark water. He was a titan of industry, a genius by all accounts, yet he was already sprinting toward total financial ruin. His ego was his greatest liability. Across the country, Ronald Read lived a life of quiet, invisible discipline. For decades, he swept floors at JCPenney and pumped gas, driving a modest car and chopping his own firewood. He didn't look like a millionaire, but when he died at 92, the world was stunned. The humble janitor had amassed an $8 million fortune. While the executive burned wealth, Read simply saved and waited, letting patience do the heavy lifting. The contrast is stark. Money is not a hard science governed by formulas. It is a game of psychology. It is not about how smart you are, but how you behave when the world shifts. Your financial future is not written in your bank statement, but in the choices you make every single day.
In 1996, my son slammed his backpack onto the kitchen table, his jaw set in a hard line. "Why should I waste time on subjects I will never use in real life?" he demanded. I stood by the stove, my hands gripping the counter tightly. "Because without good grades, you cannot get into college," I replied. He let out a sharp, cynical laugh. "Whether I go to college or not, I am going to be rich." Panic flared in my chest as I stepped toward him, my voice rising. He leaned back, sighing with practiced boredom. "Mom, get with the times," he said, his voice steady. "Look around. The richest people did not rely on degrees. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at Madonna." He paced the small kitchen. "Even Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard to build Microsoft. He is the richest man in America, and he is barely 30. There is a baseball pitcher who makes millions without a diploma. The world has changed, and you are still stuck in the past." I opened my mouth to argue, but the words died in my throat. He turned and walked out, leaving me standing alone in the heavy silence of his wake. In the biting cold of 1980s Germany, Charles Kwadwo Fosu stood alone. He clutched his guitar case like a lifeline, far from his home in Nusuta, Ghana. With no money and only a melody, he carried the heavy dreams of a man. Fate intervened when he met Nana Chimpong. Together, they became the Lumba Brothers, capturing the raw ache of immigrant life in their album, Yeye Aka Akwantu Omu. Yet the partnership soon fractured, leaving Fosu to face the spotlight alone. He released Aben Woha. The rhythm gripped the nation like a fever. His lyrics cut through the noise, singing of love, poverty, and success. Even as critics labeled him controversial and rumors swirled, he ignored the whispers. He simply adjusted his microphone and recorded hit after hit. Today, his music echoes through every Ghanaian wedding and farewell. Daddy Lumba remains a titan, a man who built a kingdom out of resilience. The village fell into a suffocating silence after Kojo collapsed in the red dust. Within a week, the house was hollow. Abena sat on the dirt floor, staring at her 4 sleeping children. She pressed her palms into the earth, her knuckles white, and forced herself to stand before the first light of dawn. She hauled firewood until her shoulders were raw, and scrubbed laundry until her fingers bled into the river. Neighbors whispered, but Abena kept her eyes fixed on the path. She watched her children eat while her own stomach twisted with hunger. Kofi studied under flickering lamps. Ama sold baskets in the searing heat, and Adwa walked miles through the rain with her worn books. Years later, luxury cars groaned over the village road. Kofi, Ama, Ya, and Adwoa returned, tearing down the crumbling shack to raise a house of stone and glass. On the porch, as the sun dipped low, Kofi placed a hand on his mother's shoulder. Abena didn't need words. She simply squeezed their hands, her grip as firm and steady as the earth itself. In the early 2000s, Jerry Anaba, known as Okomfo Kwadi, stepped onto the stage and silenced the room. While others chased Western beats, he arrived from Navrongo with a storyteller's soul. He didn't just rap. He channeled the ancient tradition of a village priest. His debut introduced a new era of Ghanaian hip life. Listeners leaned in as he wove tales of the struggle abroad in Aboriki and dropped proverbial wisdom in Kawonan Taso. Every track felt like a rhythmic divination, turning recordings into spiritual experiences. His secret weapon was Nana, a fictional character he addressed directly. This transformed studio tracks into intimate fireside chats. When he performed Yeko Ma'a Pe, the street dynamics came alive through his sharp, humorous observations. He moved fluidly between Twi and local dialects, his flow mimicking the cadence of a storyteller under a baobab tree. He wasn't just a musician. He was a confidant to an entire nation, bridging the gap between the old world and the new streets. Health challenges eventually forced his silence, leaving a void. Yet, his echo remains. Today, every artist using a deep proverb walks the path he cleared. He remains the priest of the genre, leaving a blueprint for authenticity that no one can replicate. The village well is a dry, dusty throat. Elders kneel in the sand, palms open. Zola watches from the shadows, ignored as usual. Suddenly, a blue dragonfly darts toward the forbidden grove. She follows, her feet crunching on brittle, dying grass. In the emerald heart of the grove, Zola finds the spirit of silence. He is a giant of withered leaves, guarding a silver snake coiled in a jar. I hushed their water. How do I bring it back? Zola asks. The spirit points to his cracked cheek. Make me weep. Zola does not beg. She closes her eyes and begins to hum. It is a wordless melody, a rhythm mimicking a steady heartbeat. Birds chirp in sync, and the wind whistles through the leaves. A single heavy tear rolls down his face, striking the clay jar. The jar shatters. Water erupts as a melodic stream, winding back to the village. The shouting is silenced, replaced by the rhythm of the water. Knowing it will stay only as long as they keep the harmony, Anansi stood before the towering silk cotton tree, a heavy clay pot strapped to his belly. He lunged upward, fingers clawing at the rough bark, but the weight dragged him down. He hit the dirt with a dull thud. Even his strongest webs snapped under the strain. His son Nentikuma watched from the tall grass. "Father," he said, "why do you carry your wisdom in front?" Anansi paused, realizing the boy was right. He unstrapped the cord and shifted the pot to his back. Suddenly, his legs wrapped easily around the trunk. He climbed steadily, branch by branch, until he reached the highest fork. He wedged the pot into the tree, but as he reached inside, it tipped. The pot tumbled, falling through the air until it hit the ground and shattered. The golden light vanished. Anansi climbed down to find only broken clay. The wisdom was gone, and his stomach growled. He looked at his empty hands, and finally understood. Turning away from the shards, he walked toward the garden, ready at last to pick up a hoe and work. The year is 1989. In a dusty German studio, the air hums with synthesizers. Nana Achempong and Daddy Lumba lean over the console, blending Ghanaian rhythms with European disco. They press play on Yereye Aka, and the speakers crackle. This is the electric birth of Burger Highlife. The duo dominates the airwaves, but the spotlight is a crowded place. They part ways, yet the music never stops. Nana steps into the solo booth, his voice smooth and deliberate. He releases Na Anka Ebai Den, and it hits the streets of Accra like a sudden storm. It is more than a melody. It is a confession of the heart. Fans crown him the champion lover boy. He records over 30 albums, a relentless testament to his endurance. On stage, he grips the mic stand, eyes fixed on the crowd. He sings, and thousands sing back, word for word. He is the architect of romance. Every record is a masterpiece of high life, cementing his status as a living legend. Decades pass. Synthesizers give way to digital Afrobeat. Nana watches from the wings. The legacy is secure. When the needle drops, the rhythm connects the past to the present. He remains the timeless master of the romantic anthem. In 2003, a young artist named Theophilus Tago stepped into a recording booth in Takoradi. He emerged as Castro Destroyer, a name that would soon dominate every radio station in Ghana. His breakthrough hit Sradinam hit the airwaves like a shockwave, turning him into a household name overnight. Fans marveled at his range. He moved from gritty rap to smooth, soulful falsettos. He was the golden touch. By the time he joined Sarkodie on Adonai, his status was cemented. But on the 6th of July 2014, the music stopped. Castro and Janet Bandu took a jet ski out onto the Ada estuary. The engine roared. They sped into the distance, and they simply never returned. Search teams scoured the water for days, finding only the abandoned jet ski bobbing in the current. A heavy silence fell over the nation as the days turned into years. In 2021, the law officially declared him dead, yet the music refuses to fade. Today, walk through any street in Accra, and you will hear his voice echoing from speakers. Castro did not just record songs, he built the permanent soundtrack of Ghanaian life. The sun dipped low over the Ada estuary, casting golden ribbons where the river meets the sea. Kofi stood at the shoreline, his fingers tracing the worn edges of a vintage record sleeve. The man on the cover smiled back, his style frozen in time. Nearby, an old fisherman cast his net. Without looking up, his voice cut through the air. "They still call him the Underfire," he muttered. Even now, 12 years later, to the world, he was a cold case. A man vanished into the salt spray. But here, Castro was not a mystery. He was a pulse. Kofi remembered Sehor surging through the streets, a sonic bridge between ancient rhythms and modern energy. Castro did not just sing. He commanded the air. Legends swirled like the tide. Some claimed he joined the Mamiwata as a king of the deep, while others swore he traded fame for silence in a distant city. As stars pierced the sky, a taxi roared past. The speakers blared a familiar, soulful vocal run. Kofi smiled as the bass rattled the pavement. As long as the chorus soared, he refused to fade away.